Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit.
Okay, all you citizens of the world, enough of what I have to say about the 4th of July. I've asked our sometimes co-host and producer Katy Hogan to join me, an all-American girl, to talk about what the 4th of July in this year, 2025, under certain circumstances, means to her. So good morning to you, Katy, and thanks for joining us before you go off for a long day of work.
Thank you, and thanks for putting me on. I hope you have a number of voices chiming in today. So how I feel approaching this 4th of July, very different than I have ever felt in my life, because we are in a different country now. Thanks to the vote yesterday, the big ugly. I'm not quite sure what to say. I mean, we have the truth of the Republican Party is now the party of Trump, and they can't think for themselves. They can't do anything for themselves. They are people without thinking brains. I mean, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who could have stopped this bill, just her vote. And she said immediately after casting it, that's not a good bill. Now, I heard from my neighbor just this morning across the way that Alaskans went nuts at some kind of public meeting and kind of actually were attacking whoever the speakers were. I was trying to find it before I came on, but I couldn't. So my hope is that Americans wake up. I mean, we have had as many as 5 million people in the streets on one day. That's a minimum. That's a conservative number, I think. And most of us who've been on your show were amongst those people in the streets. We have a lot of people who say, oh, what good does demonstrating do? You know what? I don't know, but you better damn demonstrate. I mean, I have long felt Americans take absolutely for granted what we have here. And I know that because I have been in other countries. And part of the reason I think Americans do take what we have here for granted is they haven't been in other countries in a deep way. They haven't gone to places that don't speak English. They haven't gone to places that used to be called third world. They don't go places where the water doesn't come out of the tap and the stoplights don't work and people don't honor laws and the leadership is corrupt. Well, now America is that place. Our leadership is as corrupt as it can be, in the executive branch. And I'm afraid to say that anybody who is a Republican senator is now also tainted with that corruption. I mean, the Republicans are always claiming to be the fiscal responsibility, and nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, it's been proven for years. Every Democratic administration ends up with a close to or a really balanced budget. Every Republican administration comes in, wipes out that balanced budget, and puts us further in debt. Yesterday, the GOP tax plan that passed in our Senate yesterday adds $3 trillion to the deficit. This from the deficit watchers of so many years. So it's understandable why people would, sort of throw up their hands and say, yeah, I can't do anything. But in America, we can do something. And when you see people in the streets of totalitarian states like Serbia and Iran, and people filling the streets, risking their lives. Now, I do know, as of the new administration, some people taking to the streets in America would be risking their lives, which is why I would say to all the white people out there, get your asses in the streets. It's our turn to stand up for all the people of color who are being pulled off the street, incarcerated. I mean, I can't, I'm so utterly disgusted by the combination of this bill passing the Senate on the same day that number 47 goes to the Everglades to visit his newest deportation concentration camp, the Alligator Alcatraz. He's so effing cute, isn't he? I mean, it's so funny to make fun of people dying in incarceration. And that's what his Homeland Security said. Oh, people die in prison all the time. That was his response to being asked a question about a Cuban who was picked up, who has lived in this country for 60 years, working, raising a family. He was incarcerated, and he died last week. And this effing dingbat says, oh, people die in prison all the time. Well, that's a real responsible answer, MF, a real responsible answer. So I am angry. On Friday morning, I will do what I've done every Friday morning for the last 17 or 18 of them, which is join with others on Sheridan Road with the flag, with the signs, with the little bells saying, this is not okay. This is not okay. And this show won't be heard until after we do that, but it's what a lot of us do just for ourselves. But it's also for the people passing by in the cars who honk their horns a lot, to say to them, you're not alone. We also think this is not okay. And I do think that America should take back the 4th on Friday. I know it's going to be a hot day here. I don't know how the weather's going to be other places, but people should take to the streets, everyone should be calling their congressperson today in utter dismay over this bill and saying, I don't care what party you belong to, you can't pass this bill. This bill gives millions and billions of dollars to defense, which does not need it, to Homeland Security, which is basically raising that money right now as a stopgap measure because they've already spent their budget on all these masked guys descending on American streets and pulling people off them and kidnapping them and sending them to another country. It's all incredible. Not even going to the fact that they're also doing what they've so long wanted to do, which is mess with Obama's Affordable Care Act. Between the cuts to Medicare and their cuts to ACA, they're throwing supposedly 17 million people off their insurance. This is hell in a handbasket time, and that's where we're headed. And I can't stand it, but I also I join with others to protest it in order to be able to look myself in the eye. If I didn't make calls every week to DC, if I didn't stand on the street corner every Friday, if I didn't join in the phone banks that are happening, which everybody can join in from their homes, Move On, Indivisible, they're all running phone banks right now. Just go and find one. And you don't need special training to make phone banks, but they give it. And it's helpful. And people should be activating. If I wasn't doing those things, I don't know if I could live with myself. We are blessed in this country, and people have no clue what they are allowing to be lost every single day that this guy is in power and allowed to carry on. I mean, it's so I'm sorry. I know that's what you know to expect from me, but that's my rant today. And I will fight for this country as long as I can.
I really appreciate hearing your rant because it's not like I haven't heard them before, but it's getting more developed and pointed and focused on the real enemy, so to speak. I would like to, before you run off to your day of work in the gardens, I'd love it if you would just talk a little bit about growing up and what made you love America, because I know you do love our country, even if you are critical of the government and some of the segment of the population.
I think I'm too emotional to do that right now. We were all raised, you too, we were all raised post-World War II. So we were all raised to be patriots, despite the fact that some of the facts were not available to us as young people growing up in terms of how we did not support a ship of Jews coming over from the Holocaust and turning the ship around, that sort of thing. But we're under the impression that America went in, joined that war to save the world, basically. And so we felt pretty good about ourselves, right? Growing up, we watched war movies, we cheered on John Wayne until we found different. But what it did was it gave me very high expectations for our nation, which expectations I still have. And that is that we are not corrupt, that we don't sell our rights or our treasures, that we don't commit to atrocious acts of violence against people in other countries. And pretty much all of those things started to fall down. I mean, starting for me with awareness of institutionalized racism in our country, but especially in my own city here in Chicago, housing, jobs, healthcare, that it became clear to me, and I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask to know this stuff, by the way. I didn't ask to be an activist, but the combination of being sitting here with white skin privilege in the luckiest place to be born in the world, and not standing up when things are not going the way they should, when people are not paying attention to people's rights, when people are stomping on the Constitution. And, it's not new. We've been demonstrating since the 60s, once we figured out some really terrible decisions could be made, like let's go bomb Vietnam, who we had nothing against. And all that was on, to serve the oil interests and the commercial interests that would be given, free whole hog access to whatever over in Southeast Asia. And everything since has been a realization of where the corruption does lie, and where there is basically not caring about the people who need stuff in America. This treatment of particularly Latino immigrants is so disgusting, given what you and I both know about the work ethic of these immigrants and their way of life, supporting their families, sending money back to Mexico, going back to Mexico, which is their first love. They only come here to support the economy of their own families and villages. That's been true for decades. And now the treatment that they're receiving, it tears me up every time I see it. So I'm gotta go to work now.
Katy Hogan, I really thank you for coming on. And I know this is, probably puts you in a mood for your work, but I'm sure the flowers at the job will cheer you up a little bit. And I know that you have the commitment to go forward, and you shine the light for a lot of us and give us some direction. And I appreciate that. I've known you now since
50 years.
Yeah, 50 years. And we've had our arguments and our differences, but you continue to inspire me. And I am really grateful for that.
And I am grateful for you, Michael James, and for you, Hal James, for keeping this little program on the air. It's dear to my heart, and I love what you do. I'm so happy that you're going to have John DeGraff on later this show.
Yeah, John DeGraff. We're going to talk about a movie, From Sea to Shining Sea, and a concert that happened around it. We thought that this song, America the Beautiful, is something that we might want to address today.
Why don't you play Ray Charles' version of it?
Well, exactly. That's what it's in the movie. And we also were going to play, I think, a little bit of John Brown's Body Lies a Moldering in the Grave, too, because I remember feeling very patriotic and pro-Union soldiers during the Civil War reenactments of my youth. You have a good day, Katy Hogan.